Hey everyone! Let's talk about something that's often overlooked but deeply important: the hidden struggles of combat veterans. These warriors train for war, deploy to combat zones, and face enemy fire. But the greatest battles they fight might not be on the battlefield. Instead, it's against a system that fails them before, during, and after the shooting stops. Combat units face pressures like no other military environment. Imagine making split-second decisions with life-or-death consequences. Constant vigilance wears down mental and physical health. Exposure to trauma reshapes the mind and spirit, and all the while there's an expectation to perform perfectly under impossible conditions. Take Staff Sergeant Rodriguez, for example. He led 12 successful missions in hostile territory. On the 13th, when his unit suffered casualties, leadership needed a scapegoat. Despite following protocols, he was blamed, demoted, and ostracized. His decade of exemplary service, forgotten overnight. This pattern repeats across branches and deployments. Combat decisions are second-guessed by commanders miles from danger. Battlefield trauma is dismissed as weakness. Equipment and training inadequacies, blamed on frontline troops, and post-combat support, it dwindles as headlines fade. The injuries we can't see often cause the deepest harm. Combat veterans are prescribed medications instead of proper treatment. PTSD symptoms are interpreted as disciplinary problems. Brain injuries from blast exposure are minimized or ignored. Combat stress is met with stigma rather than support. "I watched my best friend die," whispers a Marine who asked to remain anonymous. "When I couldn't sleep for weeks after, my CO told me to compartmentalize or find another career. There was nowhere to turn." The unwritten code of combat units often prohibits seeking help. Medics are instructed to keep combat troops in the fight at any cost. Mental health support is seen as a career ender for those in elite units. Combat leaders are expected to appear invulnerable. After-action reports are sanitized to protect reputations. Reform requires acknowledging harsh truths. Combat effectiveness depends on genuine troop welfare, not superficial metrics. Trauma-informed leadership should be standard at all command levels. Combat veterans need specialized care beyond standard military medicine. The strongest warriors are those we allow to heal properly. The toughest soldiers aren't those who suffer in silence, but those brave enough to confront a system that puts appearance above well-being. From special forces to infantry, combat troops deserve leadership that values their lives and minds as much as their mission accomplishment. Every service member who faces combat does so, knowing they might not return. What they shouldn't have to fear is betrayal by the very institution that sent them into harm's way. The true test of a nation's commitment to its military isn't how many we send to fight, but how we treat them in the crucible of combat and beyond. For our combat veterans, the battle for dignity and proper treatment continues long after the firefights end. It's a battle we must help them win. Thanks for watching, and let's continue supporting our veterans. Until next time.